When you arrived in India, what was it like? Why did you decide not to go back, stay back here?
I found it very interesting and always very exciting. New things. Every day is new, right? Because India has so much to offer. I think that's what kept me in India for now 11 years.
What are some of the perceptions or myths that you would like to bust amongst foreign investors, particularly foreigners who are required to come and live in India, and within that, females?
For me, I've never felt unsafe in Mumbai. I mostly travel by local train and I also travel late at night.
In France, you would have been same as everyone else, no differentiation, but your skills, your qualification, your tenacity to stay back in India and push yourself probably gave you more opportunity in this country.
When I joined this Indian startup a few years back, I joined in finance also, mostly for finance project, but more on a process side. And I just told the CEO I would love to do some HR related stuff. Just like that, I want to try something different. I think I'm interested, I studied psychology now and I would love to apply my human knowledge at work, and he gave me that opportunity.
Did you ever encounter something like, oh, you are a foreign resident, what do you know about problems in India? Maybe you're not the right consultant.
I was working in the defense industry at my first years, and I was always surrounded by men, a lot of men, and probably grey hair men mostly. So I was very young and very new also to India, and yes, it happened that I would be in the room to present a presentation to the board or something, and people will shake hands but miss me because will not interact with me because they don't know who is this person. She's young, she's white, and she's a woman, and I'm very uncomfortable and I don't know how to deal with it.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our podcast series titled Investing in India and Learning from the Leaders. Today's episode is titled Finding a Balance Across Cultures and a French Consultant's Perspective of Working in India. And for this, I'm very pleased to introduce our guest today, Axelle Defrasne. Axelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
A quick introduction for everyone. Axelle, you were born and brought up in France.
Yes.
You went for your higher education to Russia. And since 2014, you have been living in Mumbai as a Mumbaiker, having traveled a lot in the country when you first arrived, and before donning the role of a consultant in form of a strategic advisor. You later upskilled yourself in the degree of counseling psychology. And in 2018, you joined an Indian startup as a troubleshooter, going through all the functions and building the HR team from ground up. In 2023, you became a freelancer, specializing in building HR functions, which gave a good foundation to your clients, companies, including culture, shared vision, mission, process development, and also started something very interesting called as intercultural sensitization, due to your long experience as a foreign origin person living in India. So with these brief words, Axelle, welcome to the show, and it's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Vishnu.
Axelle, tell us something about your early days. When you arrived in India, what was it like? Why did you decide not to go back, stay back here?
I have to say that I came to India with not much knowledge of India. I decided to not research and just come. And I think that decision came very quickly. I moved within 1 month from Russia to India. And therefore, I came with an open mind. And the idea was to not have any preconceived idea of what it would be. And I got good surprises, less good also. Yeah. I have to say, it was not always easy. But there are many things that I discovered in India, and what made me stay is that I think the opportunities that I had and the way my life shaped up, which was quite nice and successful then, was that I had a very interesting growth going on. First, because I was in an uncomfortable place, so I had to model myself to really to adapt.
And this was all happening in Mumbai?
Yes.
Okay.
So while arriving in Mumbai, you realize that things are very different, and you will not be able to use your ways. Here, nothing will work like that, and therefore you have to shape yourself differently.
Right.
And I think this, with the difficulty that it has also, I found it very interesting and always very exciting. New things, every day is new, right? Because India has so much to offer. I think that's what kept me in India for now 11 years.
Wow. All right. That's interesting. So you mentioned that you had to remodel yourself, refashion yourself. So what were some of your experiences in these 11 years that kind of surprised you, particularly in the initial, say, months or years? Surprised you in a positive way, or maybe disappointed you and you almost felt like packing your bags and going back home?
Many things in the positive side, but if I have to point few things, one is the world of possibilities in India is nothing is impossible if you people believing in other humans, the values that the humans carry, and they will trust you. Would you have the skill set or not, for example, to do something? Because I like you, then let's do something together. And I find this approach very interesting.
Right.
And another thing that I can mention that I found very interesting is this approach of discovering myself was also at a spiritual level, and I discovered this wisdom that India has to see things holistically, still has it in the culture, maybe not always consciously. But there are certain things here that were really interesting to me, and I can mention few, but for example, I have an Ayurvedic doctor today. I don't go to the normal doctor anymore. And when she treats me for, of course, my physical challenges and disease and whatever, but she also tells me mental practice, like stop thinking too much, don't do too many things at the same time. And I find it very interesting that the approach is very holistic. And that's a small example, but there are many things like this in India that I found really, really interesting, and that I think got my curiosity going. That changed me also and got me to stay.
Okay. So now if you have to ever take medication, you choose Ayurvedic medication.
Yes, right. It's going like that. Okay. It's also quite preventive in a way, more than afterwards.
Okay. Very nice. And in terms of certain challenges or disappointments, what would you say?
I think first, what is quite shocking for someone coming from Europe would be the pollution, the noise, the way to treat waste, and the poverty also. I would say that in Mumbai, people live in the street quite a lot, and it's really in front of your eyes. You can't, at the beginning, you can't ignore. And I have to say, you become used to it. That's more for the external aspect of the place. Internally, I think what was really challenging every year for me was to be on a visa, to need to apply for papers, and that someone that I don't know, that will just look at a file, that doesn't know me, will choose if I'm meant to be here or not meant to be here.
Right.
And that you really have this every year, 1 month, where you have this renewal going on, where you, oh my God, and what if this person decides that I should not be here?
Right.
What do I do? And you don't have really control over anything. And your life could change any day.
At the mercy of that person, really, whether to live in Mumbai or not.
And I think I learned to accept it, but at the beginning I found it very difficult to accept that someone could, by a stamp, decide that I'm not here.
Okay, and you mentioned that having grown up in France, and Paris is a mega city in itself. You mentioned something interesting, that the poverty is almost in your face. How did you adapt to seeing that? Because for sure it wouldn't have been easy to see the kind of poverty that you see in Mumbai or in other cities in India compared to, say, something similar in Europe. What were your first thoughts?
No, I think first you don't. Again, I think you see just that. You see what shocks you, and if you go with reason, trying to explain and have explanation, you get lost. I think what helped me to cope up with certain things like this is, again, to zoom out And I have to say that I see it even more clearly today when I go back to France, is that when I see people in the street in Mumbai, from all social levels or whatever we want to say, and people in France, I see much more liveliness in Mumbai, much more happiness and vibrancy of life. And therefore, you realize a little bit that things are not easy in the material world, but inside there is a strength, a resilience, a need to live and to really express that life. That you learn to appreciate and see it from a different place. You don't see anymore only the material, but how people live that situation. And I think Indians for that are very strong, that they live with what they have and they make the best out of it in a much better way than a European would do. For me, it's a personal opinion, but I think that's what I see.
That's very interesting. I've met many international businessmen, employed people are all around the world. And one of the scariest facts for them is, as you mentioned, facing poverty or looking at poor people living on roadsides in India. And sometimes they say that, no, it's one thing that I can't accept, and therefore I'm not going to come to India. What would be your message to such people?
I think there is something to learn everywhere from everything. And I know some people personally that are in those situations, and they have a lot to offer. And therefore you can also bring to them a lot. Just by the respect and the trust. So I would say it's an exchange, and you can bring as well as you can receive from both sides.
Okay. Axelle, now gender empowerment has been a subject which is talked around a lot in India. And I can say that I have seen visible changes. Women historically have always been at the forefront in the glamour world, in Bollywood, maybe in politics also. But I see a lot more in other areas, sports, for example, in certain other decision-making roles at corporate levels, having a seat in the board, and so on. And I've seen this happen, say, over the last 20 years in India. When you arrived in India, from that year till 2025, would you say that were your early days different from now? Did you face more discrimination at that time compared to your acceptance levels today?
I think it really depends on the environment. I have changed, my environment has changed also. But I think, yes, there is much more openness to some gender equality. And also to find the right place for the right person. To not always search for equality, because different needs are there from both gender, but at least to consider, to have a consideration. As an HR, for example, we see this posh policy has taken a lot of place, for example, in the workplaces. Even this idea of now modern companies give leaves for periods. Things that are done and considered towards women, for sure, that I don't think we could think about them even a few years back. So I see that change coming, for sure.
And in your own specific area of work, did you ever encounter something like, oh, you are a foreign resident, you were a foreign resident, what do you know about problems in India? Maybe you're not the right consultant. Were there some acceptance problems initially?
Yes, you always face some people who are not so happy of you being in the picture. But I think that the specific ways it happens in India is more that the person doesn't have a bad intention towards you, but a discomfort because they don't know how to deal with you. First, you are a foreigner. Second, you are a woman. Third, I was young back then. And I have this example that I was working in the defense industry at my first years. And I was always surrounded by men, a lot of men, and probably gray hair men mostly. So I was very young and very new also to India. And yes, it happened that I would be in the room to present a presentation to the board or something. and people will shake hands but miss me, because like will not interact with me because they don't know who is this person. She's young, she's white, and
Yeah.
she's a woman, and I'm
Yeah.
very uncomfortable and I don't know how to deal with it.
Doesn't speak Hindi or Marathi.
Also,
Yeah.
so it's not I don't like this person and therefore I will not go towards this person, but I actually have no knowledge how to be comfortable around this person. And I think in India it expresses it a bit like this. For example, we often speak about men staring in India, like looking at you.
Yes.
And I don't think it always comes with bad intention. I actually quite the opposite. It's just a curiosity and finding it weird. Like, what is this person doing? And and the question that I get the most is, why are you here? You have an amazing country. You live there in Europe. That's the dream of most Indians, maybe, or many of them. And they don't understand. And this curiosity comes out in looking at you, just because you are different. So I don't think the intentions are bad, but the behaviors are not really adapted to make you comfortable also,
Right.
because the uncomfort of the other will also make you uncomfortable.
So, knowing your qualifications, as qualified as you are, would you say that you would have had more opportunities in France had you stayed back? Or do you feel you've had better opportunities and more opportunities in India, in Mumbai, since you decided to continue your career in India?
I think for the way I've decided to live my life, much more opportunities in India.
Right.
First, because you, for sure, you are not part of the mass. You are part of a certain group of people. And people have a certain image of that group that might not be real also. Some fantasy around
some
it.
perceptions.
Some perceptions. But that definitely helps you to get more opportunities. Because of that curiosity, people will come to you and ask questions, which might not be the case in France. I would have been very part of the mass there and not really seen. But yes, I think India gave me very good opportunities to be who I am.
In France, you would have been same as everyone else, no differentiation. But your skills, your qualification, your tenacity to stay back in India and push yourself probably gave you more opportunities in this country.
Yes, or even more. Like, for example, I'll take you through an example. When I started in finance, and when I joined this Indian startup a few years back, I joined in finance also, mostly for finance project, but more on a process side. And I just told the CEO, I would love to do some HR-related stuff. Just like that. I want to try something different. I think I'm interested. I studied psychology now, and I would love to apply my human knowledge at work. And he gave me that opportunity. And I don't think in France those opportunities come so easily.
Right.
You are in a job, you stay in your qualification, you improve in what you are, but opening doors to moving around in the company, I don't know if it's so often that it happens.
Right. Okay. So in your current role as a freelance consultant, advising many small, medium and large corporates all around the country, do you think you've seen some kind of a paradigm, one-way shift where you speak to more women decision makers as you used to do, say, probably 5 or 7 years ago? Now you're in touch with more senior female workers in the company. And is that something that is happening? Do you experience that in your day-to-day working life?
I think 10 years is still very small to assess such a big change. What I really see as something that was not there 10 years back is the ability of women to be more open and upfront of their needs, of what they want. I think maybe 10 years back they were more quiet and accepting whatever was coming to them. And I see much more confidence in a way.
Right.
That's, I think, how it expresses for me. I don't know to say if I see more women in leadership positions than before. I'm not so sure, because also the picture is limited that I have. But definitely that when I work with women, and I do a lot of, for example, interview of employees to understand how the spirit and the culture of the companies are. And yeah, I see a lot more openness to say things as they are,
Right.
which might not have been the case few years back.
Moving on from gender empowerment to the subject of DEI. How do you think DEI compares in India to European countries, France, Italy, Germany?
I think that the topic of diversity in India is almost in the blood.
That's right. Yeah.
From North India to South India, it's such a diversity of language, of traditions, of festivals, of backgrounds. So in a way, Indians are more exposed from beginning to diversity, which is, I think, a bit less in Europe. At least in my case, when I grew up, it took me some time to understand what is this diversity, what is discrimination also. And also, therefore, the topic is not seen in the same way, I feel. And the need in India might not be recognized because it's part of the culture in a way. Right. So it's just beginning to come into different, through different aspects. Would it be gender? Would it be sexual attraction? Would it be in different topics? But the idea of, for example, cultural aspects, I think India has already diversity, and therefore it's less present. The idea of I discriminate on a name, I discriminate on a religion. It's still not. I don't think we're doing diversity in India through those means. I think it goes more on the other side towards more gender and other topics.
Right. So, do your clients treat DEI as an important aspect in policy making, or is it just for the sake of compliance and some don't even want to comply?
I think those who call me are serious about it, because I would also not choose them as clients, probably. No, I think those who come into the topic really needs it.
Right.
And therefore do the effort to put the weight that it needs to have. I would say maybe in an Indian environment, fully Indian, the company is Indian, the employees are mostly Indian, it's a bit less of a necessity. And therefore, I don't see many clients in trying to give workshops of diversity in those setups. But that's also because I come as a foreigner. So why would they call me? Better to call an Indian for that kind of topic. But the companies that reach out with this idea of putting two cultures together in order to work the best way possible, is a very serious topic, and both sides. In the workshops that I lead, it's the curiosity, the need to do better, the want to be less rigid on my own ways is definitely present on both sides. Would it be Europeans or Indians?
Right. I'm sure you'll agree when I say India is a country where relationships matter a lot, whether in a family or in a social circle or even in the corporate life. But from your experience working in Indian companies, working in the defense sector, working as a freelance consultant, advising other companies, how important are strong relationships to move ahead, whether we are talking about the growth of the company itself or individual performances or working as a team?
I think it's very important, the relationships in India. Would it be at work or the other environment, which is mostly family? And for workplaces to provide an environment that encourage or facilitates at least to have good relationships and friendships even at work is important. When I worked for this Indian startup, I was head HR there for a few years, and we hired a lot of young people, 25, just out of bachelor, and they really live in the office.
Right.
And when they don't live in the office, they go back home with their families, which are sometimes big families, and they don't have their own space.
Yes.
So they are very happy to be in the office. And it made a big difference that we were providing an environment where they can just sit at the cafeteria, for example. But if there is no such space when they can share a good moment, then it could be very difficult for them to explore this idea of building friendships.
Right.
Because apart from these two environments of work and family, there is not much time left to build friendships outside. Maybe those who practice sports or have a club or do motorcycling groups, certain things like this. But otherwise, I feel the most of time will be at work or with family, and therefore to create this social aspect is part of the workplace.
Right. And so if I'm an investor, entrepreneur, say from France, and I want to invest in India, set up a company, greenfield, and build a team, would it be important for me right from the get-go to focus on employee relationships, employee culture in the company, or can I ignore that for the first few years and just focus on business development, getting new clients, new orders?
You would know my position on this. But no, I think we can't ignore culture, and also it's a very important point for me. Something that I really care about is that I think for the growth of a business and a healthy business, the growth of humans is essential. One will not grow without the other.
Right.
And to be mainly focused on business growth will work for some time.
The short term?
Short term.
Yes.
And one day it will collapse. There will be things which are not working. People will not want to stay. They will leave. Or a certain grudge will grow in the company. I will work, but I will work only on that transaction basis. And therefore, I do only the necessity. I will not try to develop myself because first there is no space for it and no encouragement for it. And therefore, building a culture with strong values and bringing the employees to be part of a vision, for me, is essential. And I think it's really the heart of the work that I do, and I think it works. I have clients who implemented certain things that it works really well.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about workplace culture in India as compared to, say, developed countries. Now, we believe a lot in building relationships at home, of course, but also with our friends, our social network, and also sometimes in the corporates, although we may be selective with whom we want to build a relationship and who we would wish to avoid. What has been your experience in relationship management in India as opposed to other countries, say France?
So in France, you build your relationship from early age and you keep them going. I can tell, especially maybe not as true now, but my parents have the same friends that they used to have in business school, for example.
Okay.
And they keep on meeting. And they would not make new friends so much while developing life and not so much at work. It will be very, very exceptional to have a relationship from work. But I think in India it's very different, where the relationship at work are very important. Because first you have people that understand your environment, right? You spend quite a decent of time at work, and therefore they understand what you do there. They know the same people, so the exchange is easy. And there is a funny fact that when I used to work in certain teams, I would shift teams because I would often fix certain processes in one team, in the finance team. And 3 months later, I will switch to sales to fix sales. And it's a very funny thing that for 3 months, I would have my lunch with the finance team and we will be best friends. But at the moment I shifted to the sales team, then I will have my lunch with sales team and we will become best friends. But it will be weird that I would go and eat with finance anymore, almost. Like, because I'm not part of their day-to-day.
Right.
So the adaptability of changing friendships in India, I think, is more. But at the same time, it's really important. It cannot be missed. It doesn't mean that we don't need it, but it's more flexible in with going with change, and whatever comes, I'll take. And I still have very good contact with my ex-colleagues also, but yeah, it's more difficult to stay in touch as closeness. But I think in France, people make an effort to do that.
Right, I see. So when you said you were fixing things in the finance, then you moved to say, what were you fixing and how did you fix? If it's not confidential.
No, it's, I can give you titles of project that I had. It will tell you a lot. It's thousands of invoices in one click. Meaning how you generate thousands of invoices that we were generating in a month on just doing one click. So how you set a process that would do that without mistakes. Things like that, which are process related, people related, or technology related. The technology I would definitely outsource because it's not my thing. But to think about how to implement such a process would be my work.
So the Indian founders, entrepreneurs, or CHROs, do you think, in your opinion, are now starting to treat employee as long-term assets and investing in their future so that ultimately in the long term, as you mentioned, the company also grows, not just the employee?
I think there are two aspects to that question. The first one being that they have to, because people count on it now. Someone will definitely check the culture of the company before coming, and if they see that there is no opportunity of growth, they would not take the position. And therefore, for CHROs and CEOs to make that happen is real. It's not just a nice thing to do. They have to provide an environment of growth, an environment that is facilitating upskilling, providing trainings, providing benefits also, which becomes very important. And therefore, they also have to build career path for their employees. And we will see that those who don't, people will leave faster. The other side of it is that it's difficult for someone today to think like that because the market is so fast. And the number of years that someone stays in a company is shortened a lot over the last few years. Now, changing every year, every 2 years, nobody will really ask, but why are you changing so much, right? It's very clear why you're changing so much. Everybody understands it, and it's almost normal to do.
There is more acceptability now than it used to be in the past.
Yes, it's part of this fast-paced
working life.
Yes.
So if I'm an investor, as I mentioned, and usually I have noticed that very rarely the first, second, or third employee has anything to do with HR. It's always sales, or business development, or service, and so on. Would you recommend to such a company that no, at some stage, the earlier the better, you must have somebody with certain level of HR competency in your team?
I think it is needed to have someone to whom the employees can speak, which is not the boss. And it could be someone part-time, a consultant, or it can be an external role, but which will have a bit more neutral position. Especially if I'm coming as a foreigner, because I will not understand, and therefore for also inviting others to share openly with me, and they don't know me and they don't know where I'm coming from, and there is already this gap, maybe just in the minds also, but it's there, and that we cannot ignore. Having someone local to have those conversations and this communication, this bridge between the two, I think is important.
Okay, so sort of a go-to person in case if I find working atmosphere or culture or certain policies are random in the company, I can go and speak my mind to someone neutral.
Yes. And someone who will have this interest. What I see very often is that the CEO or the person who will come to establish an office which will have sales, as you said, primarily at the
Yes.
beginning, would be mostly focusing on those
True.
sales targets.
Absolutely.
And therefore, what the employees live in the day-to-day is not in his mind so much. There is already so much that one can do, right?
Exactly.
And therefore, having someone who focus on this aspect, I think will be important.
Okay. You talked about employees leaving the organizations soon enough if they find that it's not happening in this company. So why should I invest my career in this? So that leads us to the topic of talent management, which is getting more and more challenging for employers. So what would you say to such employers, let's say a European manager in India, first time, building a team. Now he has to retain the team. What would you say to him or her, the do's and don'ts of managing talent in India?
I would say first that towards building the team, the way of hiring, I mean, there are a lot of options in India because there are a lot of people. And it could be that I feel that I will not find the right person because there's so many resume coming to me if I do one job post.
Sure.
I might feel that I will not find exactly what I'm looking for, which I think is not true. There is always one person, because there are so many people, there is always one person that will fit the role that you want with the energy maybe and the spirit that you or the values that are similar to yours or to the business or to the company. And therefore, I think to be patient in the hiring is one thing first, to find the right person. The second, in order to retain, I think to have an openness to understand how Indians function, to really have a double way that I can show you something I think it would work best like that, but I also don't know how you guys function. Can we try to find a common ground of how to function together so that it works for both in both ways? And it's not always to find the best in everything, that I should not come with that mindset that, okay, let's find the best, because the best is defined by me. And might not be true for the other. The best for the other might be different. And therefore, to try things and be ready to also fail or make mistakes at it and to try again. So that patience, that openness, and that trial
and error kind of.
Yes.
To reach a win-win situation.
Yes, is essential, I think. To think that we will figure it out from the first go it is a mistake.
I now have certain rapid-fire questions for you. You have to give your answers to these questions either in one word or one sentence. What has India taught you that you may not have learned anywhere else?
Yeah, I think patience is the right word.
I'll give you one more chance. Any other?
Yeah, the liveliness. I think this eternal youth inside, that there is always more.
The vitality.
Yes, the vitality.
One word for Indian workplaces?
Coming from Mumbai, I would say Bollywood. It's every day something new, every day a new story and some drama.
Drama.
Of course.
You don't see that too much in France?
I've not worked much in France, so I can't really say, but I think it's much more settled and peaceful in a way.
Very orderly, systematic.
A little bit, yeah.
Your favorite Indian work habit?
The chai snack breaks.
Chai samosa.
Chai
or bun
samosa.
maska.
No, it's a vada pav.
Vada pav, of course, yes. You're from Mumbai. Very nice. What is that one French value that Indian offices would benefit from?
Sometimes as someone who has led team, I felt the spirit of adventure, this risk-taking energy I missed sometimes. I like to be bold and try things and go with it and maybe push limits. Think out of the box, and sometimes I feel this spirit of adventure is a bit missing.
Well, that's the end of the rapid fire. You can relax now.
Thank you.
So, if you had to wrap up your 10 years, the last 11 years in India, what would you say? What did you learn? What are you still willing to learn more? What advice would you have for interested investors, businessmen, businesswomen in India?
I think what you spoke about learning, and I think this willingness to continue to learn is what I would advise to anyone who comes. First, because the world is evolving fast, and more India has a very important role in the world today.
Sure.
And therefore keeping that openness that things can happen here and things can happen very fast here. The pace is incredible. The way that things change, I've never experienced it before than being in India. And people make it happen. People make things happen here. The way, it's not always the way that Europeans would want it maybe. And I have funny stories about it, but it happens.
Right. Any story would you like to share?
I just remember one story where working in defense, you can't really go out of specs. And we were speaking about submarines. So if you change a screw in a submarine, it doesn't have the same effect that it's supposed to. And it has a big effect. But suddenly you realize that in the way we didn't have this one, so we've put that. But that will not work.
The jugaad.
Yes, so the jugaad works in many cases, but in others, not so much also. So that's where you see that the necessity of having both world is important. But this need to keep things open and less rigidity to be able to change while things are changing, I think can really benefit whoever comes in many ways, as an individual or as a business.
Okay. So in your 11 years in India, what are some of the perceptions or myths that you would like to bust amongst foreign investors, particularly foreigners who are required to come and live in India, and within that, the females?
For sure, the fact that for me, I've never felt unsafe in Mumbai. I speak about Mumbai. I will not say for other cities, but I mostly travel by local train, and I also travel late at night.
Okay.
And yes, I find it most convenient in terms of prediction. Traffic is not so predictable, so at least the train allows this. And you really have measures for you to feel safe. So for example, after 10 in the local train, you will always have a policeman in the women compartment in Mumbai. And generally speaking, people have no, there is no aggression. It's a very safe environment. You don't feel bad, and there are people everywhere. So you know that if something happens, there will be always minimum 2-3 people around, which makes Mumbai a very, very safe city. And I have to say that in the 10 plus years that I've been there, very less incident happened to me of someone calling me in the street and, I don't know, even insulting, for example. It never happens. Very, very rarely I felt in a situation where I feel scared. Which is not always the case in Paris, for example. I would take the metro at night in Paris. I think in some places it's not so safe. Or at least the feeling is not as good as I have my peace in Mumbai, for sure.
So in Paris, if you had to go out alone late night, you'd think twice, but not in Mumbai.
Yes.
That's an eye-opener.
After it's also my city, I've been living there, so I have my comforts for sure, but I still think that generally speaking, even when I meet my friends there, to be more careful for sure, a little bit in Paris, I would say.
Okay, good to know that. Well, thanks a lot for those insightful tips, sharing your experience, literally boiling it 11 years down to 30 minutes. I'm sure our viewers have learned a lot from this interaction. Axelle, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate your association with us.
Invitation के लिए धन्यवाद.
आप सदैव वेलकम है. To watch this podcast, you can follow us on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on our company website www.octagona.co. We will keep coming back with more and more such podcasts, and interesting episodes are lined up, so look forward to having you with us. And you can watch the video on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, as well as on our website. Thank you.